hate being called an academic. Because in addition to what was mentioned in the introduction, 26 years ago, teaching at the university, just having finished my PhD, I decided if I was going to teach young Canadians about business, I darn well ought to know something about it. And as good as the universities are, the theory is only part of it, isn't it? So I went out and started a company with a colleague of mine. And we started a company that he had called Saga Communications. And I came out of the marketing research side, and we started a marketing research company, and we bolted the two of them together. If you ask him why he called it Saga Communications, he always said, it's a long story. Get it? That tells you a little bit about my friend Rick. Anyway, we started those companies 26 years ago, and today we are the largest marketing, communications, and information firm in Atlantic Canada called Bristol Group, 4 offices throughout the region, employing about 160 people. So I'm not an academic. I've run the business, I've been in the business for 25 years, and we do very, very well. So I know what clients want, and I hate being called a supplier. I want to be a business partner. I don't want to be a supplier. Let me share with you some information that I came across about a year ago, a study that was done by a company called Accenture, which used to be known as the Anderson Consulting Group. And the Conference Board out of New York did this study. And they found that amongst CEOs and managing directors and presidents of companies on 3 continents, that the single most important issue they feel they face today is customer loyalty. What does that mean? Well, what it means to me is that they are facing up to the fact that keeping customers is as important as getting them in the first place. They're also facing up to the fact that retention is a major objective of an organization, and that long-term customer value is something that we ought to be focused on. And you know something? This is a relatively recent development. I've been around marketing for over 30 years, and it's only in the last 10 years that organizations have started to focus on keeping the customer as opposed to getting them in through the door in the first place. So I'm going to talk a little bit with you today about customer loyalty and what that means. And how do you develop that customer loyalty? How do you get your customers coming back to you again and again and again because they want to, not because you have the lowest prices or the best printing or whatever. Because hasn't everybody got good printing these days? I would suggest to you that printing is not the differentiator. That how you deal with them and how you treat them and how you interact with them is a much more important factor. We really have to understand customers. And as I meet organizations around the world, I'm inclined to believe that there's a lot of companies out there who really don't understand their customers. And in the business-to-business world that you're in and that I'm in, unless you understand your customers and what they're going through and what challenges they're facing and what opportunities they have on their plates, you really can't do a good job. Because the only reason you exist and the only reason I exist is to make your customers successful. That's it. The rest is detail. How you get there is the detail. But your job is to make your customers look good and be successful. And you know something? Organizations don't focus on that nearly enough. We think our job is to get that job out by 2 o'clock Thursday. It's not. Well, it is. But that's only part of it, isn't it? We really have to understand what our customers are going through. The single line that I hate to hear from a customer or a client is, look, we've been dealing with you for a year and a half now, and I don't think your people really understand our business. Ever hear that? Have you ever heard that? Doesn't that just cut you right here? I thought we did. Well, no, you don't really seem to. And yet, a lot of organizations don't spend time learning from their customers. I often throw out this phrase, everything I know about marketing today, I've learned from customers. Because over the last 30-odd years, I have done hundreds, thousands of focus group interviews and surveys across this country, in the U.S., in Europe, and so on. And every time I do a focus group, which I still do after 30-odd years, I learn something. Because a customer will surprise you if you listen to them. And they will tell you what they need done, and they will tell you how they want to be handled, and they will tell you how they want to be dealt with. And yet today there's a whole bunch of companies out there that are focused on what we do and what we make and so on, rather than focused on how can we help our customers be successful.